Hello everyone, this is our data management summative presentation. This is our topic. How does the number of births affect the total population over time in Canada?
The relation between the number of births and the total population is an issue of concern and policy for national governments, especially for Canada. In Canada, the government seeks to increase the birth rate with financial incentives and provision of support services to new mothers. Conversely, some other countries have policies to reduce the birth rate. For example, China's one-child policy, which was in effect from 1978 to 2015. One of the careers that would find this data valuable is Canadian population and family planning. They can use this data to find the relationship between the number of births and total population and then plan for future trend of birth in Canada. Therefore, in this research, we're going to see how does the number of births affect the total population.
This is our data in a case table. Number of births is our independent variable. Total population is our dependent variable. And this is our two strata. Number of births for males and number of births for females.
And here is our line scatter plot for number of births over time and its two stratas over time. And as you see, the trend for both males and females is almost the same as the trend for the total number of births. And for the entire graph here, the number of births for males is more than the number of births for females.
And this is a table of mean and median for number of births and number of births for males and number of births for females. We can see the mean and median is close to each other. See.
And here is the histogram for number of births and these two stratas, and for all three of them we see that they show a left distribution here, here, and here, because the tail for all of them is on the left, and the mean is less than the median in all three of them.
This is a box plot for number of births and number of births for males and number of births for females, and the standard deviation. Compare the standard deviation, we can see the standard deviation for number of births is the highest, which shows that the number are most spread out. And compare these two, we can see standard deviation of females is smaller than for males, which means the data for females is more consistent than for males.
And in the box plots in the previous slides here, we see that there is no outliers in any of them because there is no dots that lie more than one and a half times the length of the box from either end of the box. Therefore, there is no outliers. But just to make sure, we did some calculations here in the summary table, and then we filtered our case table, and you found that there is no data point which is below Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR or above Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR.
And this is a line graph for total population. From the graph, we can see total population is increased over time here. And this is the mean and median for total population. The mean and median is close to each other.
And here is the histogram for the total population. We see that it shows a right distribution because the tail is on the right and the mean here is greater than the median.
And this is a box plot for total population and the standard deviation. And this is our calculation to make sure there's no outlier. And from the graph, we can see there's no dot that lies more than 1.5 times the length of the box from either end of the box. And after we calculate the outliers, we see there's no outlier in our data.
And here is our scatter plot for number of births and the total population. As you see, there is really no trend here. They're just like the points are just up and down. And The correlation coefficient is very close but above zero, which shows a very weak positive correlation. Therefore, although it is assumed that the number of births affect the total population strongly, but because of other factors such as immigration, which play an important role in the total population, there is really no obvious trend here. And this is the reason that our correlation coefficient is very weak, close to zero.
And this slideshow is talking about the validity of our data. Since Canada is a country of immigrants, immigration affects the total population very much, which makes the other factors, such as birth, less important. Therefore, from our correlation coefficient and the graph in the previous slides, we can see that number of births and the total population doesn't really follow a trend, which we think is because of immigration. Therefore, the conclusion should be a fact because the limitation of our research. The data for the number of births were collected from July 1st to June 13th for each year, but for the total population, it doesn't say from which month the data was collected from. For example, the data might collect from January 1st to December 13th. Therefore, because of this reason, there is some bias about our data.
And also the data were collected from two different tables, but of course from the same website, which can also be another reason that makes our data less valid. And here is our works cited. Thank you for listening.